The History of Shaman Totems. Book 2, Water. With all the totems before Kata, you needed to get the Master Water Totem from the quest called Call of Water. This quest started at level 20 and could be obtained from either Dortoir, Orgrimmar, or Thunderbluff. It didn't matter where you started, they all sent you to the Barrens. In the Barrens, you would talk to Water Seer near Ratchet, who would then send you from south of Ratchet to the southern Barrens to Brine. Brine has you grab some water from a pond nearby and return it. Then she has you go to Torn Mill to get water from their well. Once you bring that back, she sends you to Ashenvale for more water. Once you bring it back, she would then send you back to Water Seer. Water Seer would then send you to Silver Pine to another water shrine. Then, after killing a mob, you'd go back to Water Seer again, and then you'd be done. And this was all at level 20, in a time when you didn't get your 60% mount until level 40. You did get Ghost Wolf at level 20 though. And the Alliance equivalent just had you run around their starting area. In vanilla, Shamans had 6 water totems: Healing Stream, Mana Spring, Fire Resistance, Poison Cleansing, Disease Cleansing, and Manatee Totem, with Manatee being the best. Healing Stream Totem heals everyone in the group for a small amount, every pulse for 2 minutes, and then later 5 minutes. Healing Stream Totem worked pretty much the same way until Mist, in that it just pumped out small heals every couple of seconds to everyone in the party for a really long time. Since Healing Stream lasted so long, it was often considered the most mana-efficient heal in the game, and for a long time the healing done by this totem was counted as shadow and not nature, like other shaman heals. In Wrath, there was a glyph that increased the totem's healing by 20%, and with the right gear, this actually made it useful for healing the melee group in a raid. In Kata, its glyph increased the resistance of everyone in the raid and pretty much turned it into the resistance totem. This was especially useful on fights with heavy nature damage, seeing as only shamans and hunters could provide that buff, like Crackle on Nefarian or Lightning Phase on Hagara. In Mist, it was changed into a completely new spell. Now it's a cooldown smart heal that when placed will heal the most injured raid member within 40 yards every 2 seconds for 15 seconds. Since resistances were removed in the game in Mist, the glyph for it instead provides 10% less damage from nature, fire, or frost spells when it heals the target. In patch 5.4, they are adding a new talent that will increase this totem's healing by 15%, as well as allowing it to heal 2 targets at a time. Mana Spring Totem, another shaman buff totem that was probably the most used water totem. Mana Spring Totem was the original MP5 before MP5 was a stat. In its first form, it restored a set amount of mana every 5 seconds and functioned like most other pulse totems. Until patch 3.1, the MP5 from this totem wasn't really considered a buff and more of a mana restoration, and because of that, it stacked with the Pali's Blessing of Wisdom, a buff with the exact same effect. Since it stacked with the Pali buff, it was used almost all the time over Healing Stream Totem, except when it was time to drop Manatee. Like all other buff totems, it was removed in Mist. Fire Resistance Totem, for some reason, is a water totem. I guess it makes sense if you think about it like water putting out fire and being its natural enemy. So Fire Resistance Totem did exactly what its name would suggest: gave fire resistance to everyone in the shaman's party. In Wrath, it was changed to affect the raid and not just the group, and in Kata it was removed and replaced with Elemental Resistance Totem. Poison Cleansing Totem was a pulse totem that would attempt to cure 1 poison effect every 5 seconds. This totem stayed pretty much the same since beta, all the way until it was removed in patch 3.1. Well, besides the length in which it would last. Disease Cleansing was a pulse totem that would attempt to remove 1 disease effect from party members every 5 seconds. Like Poison Cleansing Totem, it stayed pretty much the same until it was removed in patch 3.1. In patch 3.1, Poison Cleansing Totem and Disease Cleansing Totem were merged into Cleansing Totem. Cleansing Totem would pulse every 3 seconds instead of every 5, and would attempt to cure either a poison or disease effect. Cleansing Totem was then removed in Cataclysm when Blizzard decided to get rid of all abilities which had a chance to randomly cure any kind of effect. Manatee Totem, in its first form, it restored a static amount of mana to everyone in the Shaman's party. It had a 5-minute cooldown and lasted 12 seconds. In BC, it was changed to give everyone affected 6% of their maximum mana every 3 seconds instead of a static amount. Before patch 3.2, Manatee only had 5 health, so it was easily killed in PvP. Then in patch 3.2, it was changed to have 10% of the Shaman's health, so it took 3 to 4 shots to kill it instead of 1. In Wrath, there was a glyph that increased the amount of mana Tide gave you by 1% so that it could give back 7% mana every 3 seconds to everyone, which was almost like giving everyone in the party 28% of their mana every 5 minutes. Then, in the Cataclysm pre-patch, it was changed to give everyone affected 350% spirit for its duration instead of maximum mana. Because it increased other healers' spirit, what shamans would do is wait for all the healers to have their on-use spirit trinkets ready, and then pop Manatee for huge mana gain. This was shortly fixed in patch 4.06 when Manatee was changed to give everyone a static spirit amount equal to the amount the shaman had at that time, excluding short duration spirit buffs, and it was made raid-wide. And I might add that it only excluded certain short duration spirit buffs. Today it has a 3-minute cooldown and gives 200% of the shaman's spirit instead of 400% as a static amount to everyone in the raid. Elemental Resistance Totem was added in Cataclysm and combined the effects of the Fire, Frost, and Nature Resistance Totems all into one. But at the same time, they also created the glyph of Healing Stream Totem, which gave Healing Stream Totem this totem's effect exactly, and thus rendered this totem absolutely useless. Then it was removed in Mist. Totem of Tranquil Mind was added in Cataclysm and reduced pushback suffered by damaging attacks by 30%. With the internal pushback reduction every casting class got, except mages, this was enough to make you completely pushback immune and was quite useful on many fights. Pallies had an aura that did exactly the same thing, and they would often have it running unless the pally needed to use aura mastery, in which case this totem was probably dropped instead. Fights like Madness of Deathwing, where during the most damage-intensive stages of the fight, you were riddled with small attacks, and this totem was extremely helpful for healers and casters. Like most buff totems, it was removed in Mist. And finally, we have Healing Tide Totem. Added in Mist, Blizzard decided to give shamans a tranquility. Except this little totem is a little bit better. While it doesn't heal as much as Tranquility or Divine Hymn, it is instant cast and produces a similar effect. The totem is a smart heal that automatically picks the 5 lowest health targets within 40-yard range and heals them every 2 seconds for its duration. Now, as of making this video, it's still a level 75 talent. But in patch 5.4, it's going to be changed to a baseline ability available to all 3 Shaman specs. Also, while on a 25-man raid instance, it will heal 12 targets instead of 5, and it will still only heal 5 targets each pulse in all other instances.